business we'll take up is the approval of the May 21st minutes. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, Kristen Jones, I actually did the agenda. Apologies. Do the minutes need to be amended? It has you as the signatory, but do they need to be Kim Turner since she was the signatory last meeting?
They do.
Well, I have a question about that because the last time that Kim took your place, she asked me to have you sign it. So we can talk to Kim.
I don't think this is what we'll do. You can make that adjustment in there and say she served in my stead as chair, but I'll go ahead and sign it.
Put that on there.
Then if that's
Acting chairman.
okay, there we
You've
go.
got your name on the signature line. So the last time she did that, I asked her and she said, just put his name on it. So I can double check with her.
Okay.
Thank you. We got a motion on these minutes. I need a second now.
Second.
Thank you. All right, any discussion, any revisions? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Let's move to the second order of business, and that's the actuarial report and assessment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna, by popular demand, I'm gonna hand this off to my assistant, Matt Stevenson, who'll take me through the slides.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm Matt Stevenson, actuary with the Horticulture Group. Get to sit at the big table this time, so thank you for having me. Sharing my screen with the slides that should have been emailed to you before, or if you're here in your packet. So a lot of ways to see these. We present at this meeting each year. We do an annual actuarial review for the Tort Claims Fund, and there are two main things that we're doing for you as part of this. First thing is analyzing your reserves. That's how much money you need to keep on your balance sheet for claims that have already occurred that you haven't paid yet. And as part of that, we look kind of at your overall financial position. So that's the first thing we'll show you. And the second thing, potentially the bigger piece that you'll actually have to take action on today, is the upcoming assessment. So we're here in the middle of 2026. We are telling you about the assessment a full year ahead for claims that are going to occur from July 2027 to June 2028. You collect your assessment a year ahead of time. So that's the time period we're looking at today. So I'm just going to take you through a few slides, try to be reasonably quick about it, but feel free to stop me for questions at any time. Okay, there we go. So this slide, this is the financial position that I was referring to. So each of these bars is a snapshot in time. So on the rightmost bar there in 2026, that's your current financial position we're looking at, and to show you how that's changed over the last 11 or so years. So what we're showing you here is the red line, as it's labeled as your assets. That's easy. That's just how much money you have on hand, and that's provided to us by the accountants with the Tort Claims Board. And the bars are the liabilities that you have for paying out claims. And there are three buckets that we group that in. At the bottom there in blue is your case reserves. Those come to us from the claim adjusters. With CCMSI, they look at each individual claim, estimate how much more that claim is going to cost. We add all that up, and that's how much is in blue. You can see over the years that's been running 7 to 9 million, usually on average. Then we come in, and the real piece of our analysis for this section is that green bar, the IBNR reserves. Stands for incurred but not reported. So that last bar is as of the end of June. That's the last bit of claim information we got. There are going to be some claims that occurred in June, even earlier, that we don't know about yet. They are incurred, but not reported to us yet. That's what IBNR stands for. So there's a bit in there for claims that we don't even know about. And there's a second piece for claims that are going to aggravate. They're going to pay out more than the claim adjuster currently thinks. So that's the biggest piece of our analysis. And that usually comes in $4 or $5 million range. And it's pretty consistent this year, right around 5 million. So when you put those blue and green bars together, that is how much you need to have reserved for all the claims that have occurred up through June 30th. But as I mentioned, you collect your assessment 1 year in advance. So that asset bar at the top already contains the money that you've collected to pay for claims that are going to occur starting this July and going through next June. So that's what that little orange piece, the unearned premium reserve is. You collect that in the assessment, but those claims haven't actually occurred yet. So in order to compare apples to apples, we put that on there to show that you are in a positive equity position right now. You have more in assets than you do in liabilities to pay for claims. Whereas if we go back to 2015, you can see that bar, the asset bar was sitting right around the top of the reserves for just the claims that had already occurred. So you were slightly in a deficit position there. It's been improving pretty steadily over time. A little dip in the assets last year, which could have easily been related to cash flow, but happy to see that pop back up and give you a few $1 million in buffer currently. Okay, so that's all we really have to say about the first piece of our analysis, which is the reserves. Everything else is going to be building up to the indicated assessment. The assessment comes in two pieces. The first piece we'll deal with is the easy piece, overhead expense. Each of these bars is how much was spent in administrative cost each year, and it's just provided to us again by the managers of the Tort Claims Fund. You can see that it was hovering right around $1 million fairly consistently, and then about in 23, 24 started heading down, looking like a ski slope, very strong downward trend, and it's popped back up this year to something we would still consider very normal. Again, these numbers just come directly to us. If I'm talking about potential causes for that increase, because that's a natural question when you see a graph like this, you did have CCMSI begin to handle all of your claims starting right around that time, which I have to imagine is going to incur a greater cost than handling all of the smaller, easier claims in-house and only outsourcing a handful of those claims. So that could easily be an explanation for the higher cost. So we look at all of these historically, kind of look at a short and long-term average. And for the upcoming assessment year 27-28, we're including just over $900,000 in estimated overhead expense. Moving on to the big piece that we really estimate, that's going to be the cost of the claims. So what I'm showing you in this graph, first of all, let's talk about historical loss rates. What is the loss rate? We can look at dollars of losses, but we normalize that dividing by how much payroll the total agencies have in each year. That does a couple things for us. One, we're expecting claim dollars to go up over time with general inflation, but the payroll will go up as well. So that puts it more on an even keel where each year is comparable. Also, that helps us account for if there's any growth or shrinking in the agencies and their operations. If MDOT decided to staff up significantly 1 year and do a lot of projects, we would expect more claims to come alongside it. So dividing by the payroll puts us on an even playing field, and we can expect it to be even year to year. So what you're looking at in this graph is a current estimate of what we think that loss rate is going to be in each year. So we segment off the claims in the year that they occurred. So that first bar is all the claims that occurred July 2016 to June 2017, and so on. So you get to the right end, and those are all the claims that occurred from July 25 up to just this past June. So one thing that I always have to say is that we are estimating the cost of these claims ultimately. As you get over to the right side of this graph, those are recent claims. A lot of them are open. As I said, some of those claims from the last bar haven't even been reported to us yet. I don't know exactly how many there will be. So there's a lot more estimation in these right bars, whereas all the way on the left side of this graph, those are pretty well solidified. Most of those claims are closed. So in the period 2019 to 23, you can see you're kind of living in the 20-cent range for your loss rate. And then it's ticked up a little bit in the last few years. So this is what we look at when we make our projection for the losses that are going to be in the upcoming year as part of your assessment. And in the past, we've been making our selection right around that 20-cent. That's the amount we've picked the last few years. But we're recognizing this upward trend, and Also admitting that those are more variable, we like to think that our estimates are a little conservative. So if we come back and re-estimate those bars on the right next year, we're hoping that they would come down some. So we're not giving full credibility to that 29 cents or 26 cents. So for that upcoming assessment year, we're going with a selection of 23 cents. That's how much we're building in to the assessment for 27-28. To help supplement that, what I want to show you here is comparing what we initially thought those losses in each year were going to be compared to what we think. So those blue bars are exactly the same as what you were looking at on the previous slide. We're showing them in dollars now, though. Those green, blue, and red lines are what we projected on the front end for how much those claims would be. So for the 2026 bar right there, when we sat here 2 years ago, projecting the assessment for that year, we thought that the claims were going to come in on a central basis around 4 million. And we put a range around that, as you'll see in just a minute, because there is a lot of uncertainty in our projections. So we work in a reasonable range. But for the last couple of years now, our current estimates of those costs are exceeding even what we thought was going to be on the high end. Whereas previously, you can see that when all was said and done, the claims are coming in at or below even our low estimate. So we're seeing a bit of an increase in your claim cost over time, and we're sort of catching up with that. So I'd say that to lead into the overall assessment. I'll start there at the bottom since we were just talking about the assessments. Go down to that last row, central. Our best estimate of the assessment you need to collect for 27-28 fiscal year is 5.7 million. That does represent about $1 million increase over what we've been showing you in the past. That's why I wanted to go through those loss rate slides and explain that the claim costs have been increasing relative to what we had been projecting before. And we do present this in a range. So on the low end, an assessment of 4.8 million, or on the high end, an assessment of 6.5, we could defend, we would consider that reasonable, and we could support it actuarially. So the top row is the, going back to the first slide I was showing you, your estimated equity. That's essentially the difference between the asset line I showed you and the bars of claim liabilities. So we do think you're in a strong financial position currently, where if the claims come in exactly as we expect, that's the central, then you have a surplus essentially of 4.7 million. Even if the claims develop a bit higher than we expect, we still think that you have 3.9, almost 4 million in unencumbered funds at your disposal. So that lets you make this assessment decision from a position of strength, where you don't have to go to the central or high necessarily to protect your financial position. And the last slide I have is just a historical summary of the assessments that you have taken. You can see that it's been sitting very consistently in the 4.3 to 4.8 million range for quite a while, with the exception of 2018, where you did decide to take a holiday. So that last bar, the current indicator assessment of 5.7 does stand out, which is why I wanted to say a bit more about how we came to that number. I will go back to this summary slide as the low, central, and high. Say that concludes the prepared presentation we had. We're happy to take questions or have a further discussion.
Anybody have any questions? Oh, don't be shy. There being no question, I think this is the time that we need to entertain motion to determine what that assessment would be. Does anybody want to offer a motion on that assessment? And remember, we're going to have a motion second, and we'll have discussion.
I think we just need to accept the report. And
Here,
yes, sir. And then that would, because their recommendation is the central, correct?
It would be, but you may make a motion for anything in that.
Except for recommendation and report as is, I think.
We didn't move and said, I'll entertain a motion to accept their report and recommendation unless somebody, let's start with that. Let me have a motion to accept their report and recommendation. Second,
So moved, or second.
thank you. Okay. Is there any further discussion about the report or any questions about the assessment being recommended? There being none, then we will take a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Any opposed? Then we will accept y'all's report and recommendation. Thank you very much. Let's look at the next item of business, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 19 certificates on the agenda today that we're requesting approval for. If they're listed. If you have any questions, let me know. I also have something to add after you approve the certificates.
Does anybody have any questions about the proposed certificates?
Are these renewals or are they new coverage?
They're all renewals this time.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion to accept issuing all the certificates.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Thank you.
This is Andy,
All
a
in
second.
favor? Let me back up. Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Greenwood LaFleur Hospital is dissolving. They're going bankrupt. And UMC has purchased them and they go live, I think September 1st or August 1st. And they have 5 active claims, all are death claims, and they're actively trying to settle those. And there's just enough money to do so in their trust account. There's one attorney that's kind of giving fits about accepting what the hospital is offering. So I just wanted to let the board know that we are aware of everything that's going on and we're trying to assist as best we can.
There's a mediation set for next week to settle all claims.
And they are currently.
Yes.
Yes, I believe it got approved last week.
Any questions about that? If not, we will just keep the board advised to any further developments. Thank you. Let's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. In your packet, you should have the financial results for June 30th, 2026. So before we get started, I kind of wanted to remind everybody how the program works. We obviously just discussed assessments, and assessments we do annually, which we bill in October, and we recognize those revenues in October. Also, we take the investment information that Trinity gives us, and we are booking now annually those market adjustments. So you'll see that in these financials. And just to remind everybody, we do not report an IBNR. I just love them. So with that, we're going to go through the financials. On the left side, we look at the 2 months ended May through June. And when you look halfway down the page, the results are, again, because we're recognizing revenue in October, we spend the rest of the months managing and monitoring our expenses. So our total expenses net, we have a decrease in net position of $1,388,122 as compared to same time last year of $1,318,886. So really a slight decline of about $69,000. So pretty comparable. If you go up, you look at tort claims, we've got 1,216,013 in the current months compared to 1,228,000. So a positive decline in claims of 12,000 for the 2 months. Legal expenses were 174,000 compared to 121,000. So those have gone up about 52,000 the past 2 months. Our administrative expenses were 185,000 for the 2 months of June compared to 93,000 for prior month. That does have to do with a quarterly CCMSI, which is typical. If you travel down, our interest income, which is our equity and interest investment pool, is $53,592 compared to $72,000. So a slight decline of $18,000. Our investment earnings for the 2 months, which includes a year-end true-up, is $134,124 compared to $52,217. That's how we kind of are looking at our expenses. Now, if you go to the right side, and we're going to talk year to date, which is going to be more comparable with our assessments in there. We had 4.7 in the current year compared to 4.6, so about 95,000 more. Our tort claims were 4.4 million compared to 4.5, so our claims improved by 100K. Our legal expenses were about $1 million for the year compared to prior year of 757. So those legal expenses have increased by 242,000. I did want to remind the board that we did change that process, if you recall. And so we think next year it would be more comparable because now we're getting those legal expenses quarterly, if you recall. The administrative expenses were 859,000 compared to 748,000. So we do have an increase in the administrative expenses. Our interest income was 296,000 compared to 289,000. So interest income is pretty comparable. It's gone up by 6,000. Our investment earnings is about 593,000 compared to prior year of 468,000. So again, an increase in investment earnings. So when you look at how we did year to date, we had our expenses outpaced our revenues by 729,000 for 2026 compared to 2025, 711,000. So really only a $17,000 change on a year to date basis. So pretty comparable. If you go down the page and you look at where we are from a balance sheet point of view, our cash and investments is $7,285,000. Our investments year end is $14,243,556, and we had some receivables of $134,000, which leaves us in a total net position of $21,663,000. Our liabilities, accounts payable, is about $1,405, and then our claims payable, which includes our reserve, is $8,773,000, leaving us a net position of $12,888,000 for the year. If we go to the next page and look at our claims data, I'm going to try to summarize this. Really, I'm going to ask you just to focus on the year-to-date information. So year-to-date, our total number of claims is 2,673 at the end of 2026 compared to 2025 of 2,653. We had new claims during the year of 789 compared to 859 last year. We have totally closed claims of 786 in 26 compared to 892 in 25. If you go right below that, we've got a closed claims data. So how many claims did we close at no cost and how many claims did we close at cost? At no cost, we closed 488 compared to 588. So we are down by 100 on the closed claims at no cost. At cost, we closed 298 for the year to date compared to 304. So we've gone down by 6. If you kind of look at the percentages of closed claims at no cost, we're at 62% compared to 65%. So still pretty good averages if you look at that. And lastly, if you go down and look at our reserves, here are our claims We did note the water claims to kind of pull those out to see what other claims other than the water claims, because we have 2,673 claims open as of June 30th, of which 2,298 are water claims, which really leaves 375 claims not related to water claim, with our total reserve being 8.6 from CCS MSI's information. That concludes our report.
Thank you. Very good. Any questions? Comments? Thank you so much.
This is Andy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I have one question on the legal expenses. It looks like, I mean, it's 250,000 is looks to be about a 25% increase from 2025 to 2026. But when you go down to the claims information, it looks like we actually closed more claims in 2025 than 2026. Do we know what that increase was due to?
Yes, because we changed that process in the past, we had legal expenses being submitted, I would say, in a pretty late time period in the closure of them. So now that we're getting them quarterly, I think the expenses are reported more correlating to the claims rather than receiving those legal invoices much later than when those claims are closed. So that would be a timing situation. I think you'll see that change next year when we start reporting, and you'll have the comparability that you're trying to get to with looking at the tort claims and when those close out compared to the legal claims. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Andy, the short answer is, like we said, there would be attorneys that wouldn't submit a bill to us until the case was completely closed. So we book it all in a year. And so, as the sheriff said, you'll see that gap close and you'll see it equalize going forward.
Okay, that makes more sense. I understand. I think that makes more sense.
Remember, we put them on the system where they have to bill us quarterly now.
And that started October 1 of 2025, so we still are playing catch up on that.
Okay,
To
that's
kinda
my
get back.
misunderstanding. Sure. Because
Yeah.
I'm obviously new to the board, so that's my I was when you said closed out, I thought you meant they weren't submitting bills to the end of the fiscal year, but you mean the close out of the claim itself. So that makes more sense. Understood.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that.
Thanks. That's a great question. We always want people to understand what's going on. So thank you. Where are we? Let's see. Okay. Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet, I'm sorry, I don't have a screen I can project it there. So if you pull your packet out, put it up if you don't care, email. You'll see our standard reporting package with a couple of additions. I don't want to repeat what Cheryl just told you. She gave you a lot of information, but I'll hit a couple of highlights that she didn't tell you. Your market value, what it shows, she called it truing up. That was the increase in the market value from June 30 to June 30. It's gone from 14 million to almost 14.6 million over the 12 months into June 30. The interest income was 535 for the year ending 6/30 versus 6/30/25 of 470,000. So we're trending in the right direction there. The portfolio returned a little over 4% on return on investment for the calendar or for fiscal year ending June 30. I think you're going to anticipate about that level again if we can hold our mouth right for the next 12 months. So anticipate about 4%. As you move through the package, you'll see the first group of pie charts. It shows you what we actually improved and how we finished the year. This time last year, you'll see it's June 2026 portfolio composition. That was the approved portfolio composition that we looked at last year and the numbers that we hit. You will note that we had budgeted 1.5 million for treasuries. We came in at 2.6. We were a little under in mortgage backs and under in both corporate and taxables. Still enough to exceed our expectations. If you'll take those numbers and go to the next page, it's the plan. I want you to at least see what we're going to be planning for next year. There's no change in the asset allocation goal mix, but I will tell you that is the goal mix. Those numbers are not written in stone except for the treasuries. By policy, we must have 10% in treasuries. We're usually right now we're running about 15 to 20%. And by policy, we cannot exceed 30% in mortgage-backed securities. We're at 25 at the end of last year, in fiscal year. We do anticipate getting closer on the mortgage backs to 30 and keeping it there on a quarter-to-quarter basis because the yields for the mortgage backs are the only investment that are giving us a better return than treasuries. But we will continue to buy treasuries as long as they offer a better return than agencies, and that includes corporate bonds and taxable municipals as well. So while we're saying we're going to be at 10% in treasuries, I anticipate we'll be to 20 and 25% as the year goes through until we see spreads come back to normal and see a larger spread in agencies and corporates. As long as we're shooting missiles and killing, bombing people, it's going to be harder to buy anything besides treasuries. So we're thinking at least till Christmas, we're buying treasuries and bombing them. If that's finally over, but we'll probably try to get back to the portfolio as we just finish. That's our commentary and our.
I'm afraid to ask if there are any questions. Are there any questions? Thank you so much. Okay. Glenn?
There's one attorney on the list, Kelvin Fulton, is requesting to be added to our attorney list. It will be motion.
A motion to add him to our attorney list. Second,
Second.
any discussion? Just so everybody knows, whenever we add somebody, they do go through a vetting process. So you wouldn't be having him in front of you if they had not met the vetting process. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Do we have any old business, Patrick? I think so. Do we have any new business?
I just wanted to make the board aware, as they know, earlier this year, Steve Milner passed away. He conducted all of our risk management activity for the board throughout the state. We have discussed with CCMSI, and they are going to take over the risk management services portion for the board, and it is actually covered. They were doing it during his illness, and so they will continue. Just wanted to make the board aware of that.
One thing I want to let everybody know, Patrick and I did a presentation at the ML conference on what the board's been doing and how it's been going. It was very well received. He had some great questions. He did an excellent job. We are also going to do a presentation, which has never been done at either one of these associations. They really appreciated the fact that we reached out to them and that we were starting to just have that communication with them. So there's going to be a insurance risk assessment conference for the Supervisors Association in August, and that same presentation will be made then. I just wanted to make y'all aware of that. Patrick did an excellent job putting that information together and doing that presentation. So thank you.
And one more thing, we just to kind of give the board an update, in compliance with Senate Bill 2360, I believe, which requires the board to have available a registry of all state entities and their contact for service. We created a portal, and that is now active on our website that we are now telling entities about. We sent out letters to all state agencies as well as emails out to the city clerk, municipal leads, distribution list, as well as the county's chancery clerk list to make them aware of this requirement by law that went into effect July 1st. As of right now, I think we've got about 200 entities already approved on the website. So We're not doing terrible, not doing great either, but it is, I will say, it is the entity's responsibility to register. It's the board's responsibility to have the list available.
And I would say that's pretty exceptional. So the fact that you're only in the 21st of the month, so, and just so everybody knows, if you're not registered, then the statute of limitations can be extended on any lawsuit. So it really is important. And it wasn't something we asked for, it was something that was passed, and so we're implementing the policy. But thank you, I didn't know, if I didn't know, so. Okay. Any other new business? At this time, I will entertain a motion to close the meeting or an executive session.
So moved.
Okay, can we have a vote on closing the meeting to go into executive session? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The reason we're going into executive session is to discuss a settlement of one of our pending lawsuits. session. And I will report that we discussed the settlement of a lawsuit in executive session and approved a settlement of that case moving forward. Do we have any other business? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate your time, and effort, to make sure that we do everything right. So I hope you have a great rest of the week.
Well, that includes.